Welcome to Final Third TV, the latest branch in the Final Third media tree. We'll use these pods to cover events or issues we feel merit more coverage than our podcast would allow. In the first episode, we'll cover Arjen Robben, a player who we feel is seriously undervalued. With me to discuss Arjen Robben is Conor Kelly.
Hello Rob, Conor, how are you?
Not too bad. Arjen Robben's a player that we both admire, have done for years. We think he's a smashing guy. Tell me specifically what it is as a player he does that makes you think he's one of the best in the world.
Well, he's probably the greatest one-dimensional player in history because every defender knows what he's going to do to cut inside onto his left foot, yet no one has found a solution to stopping him. He still consistently produces goals and assists from that right wing position cutting inside. But he's also added layers to his game in recent years. In the World Cup with Holland, Van Gaal basically played him as a second striker. He's played as an attacking midfielder at times with Bayern Munich this season. The guy has shown an ability to do everything in recent times. He's just, I think it's the dynamism and pace he plays at as well. And particularly that goal against Spain in the World Cup where he...
The quickest sprint of the World Cup by a 30-year-old. Just wanted to add that.
Yeah, where he, as I said before in one of the podcasts, he pretty much emasculated Sergio Ramos. It was just one of those jaw-dropping moments where you look and just think, wow, this is incredible.
That's acceleration over the ground. As a player, then I suppose it also ties him as a person because frequently we blur the lines between the two. A lot of people don't like Arjen Robben.
Yes.
This comes from, we often joke that he plays for the unpopular triumvirate or has played within Chelsea, Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. In each country, probably the least popular clubs.
Yeah.
Popular from people who don't like them. But he's not a diver in the sense that should be the only way that you see him as a player.
No. I mean, other players have unsavoury elements of the game, but we don't talk about it. So, I mean, over the years, it could be said that the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, don't pass the teammates or are a bit selfish. Arjen Robben just happens to be, at times, he's clearly dived, but he's never hit from that. He's always said that I have dived in the past, but name me a player that hasn't. And there's very few players that haven't. The player christened the greatest Premier League player of all time, Steven Gerrard, by Graham Souness. He
not everybody, just Graham Souness.
Just Graham Souness, but he frequently got away with diving in the mid 2000s.
Yeah.
So we don't judge Gerrard for it.
But this is what professional sport does. You'll do anything to buy advantage. I mean, I hate to go there. We love Thierry Henry as a player, but we're not going to remember him because of a handball in Paris. We'll remember him for the magic moments. Yeah. And that, to be fair, I think that's what Arjen Robben should do. This isn't an apologia. This is us just discussing his merits. To push on the point of him as a player, he's also adapted. People said that he wouldn't be playing for Pep Guardiola because he's selfish. He only wants to play for Robben. That's clearly not true. It's also not true for Ribery, just as a side note.
The narrative was that Arjen Robben wasn't a Pep Guardiola player because he was too much of an individual. But as soon as Arjen Robben met up with Pep Guardiola, he said, this is like playing with Van Gaal again.
The two get on really well. Marty Penyero's book.
So and one thing that has to be said about Arjen Robben as well is when Bayern Munich went through their dip of form, disastrous and drastic dip of form through April, May, Arjen Robben was still their most creative and best player. While other players lost form, Ribery lost form, Philippe Lam even lost form, Arjen Robben was the one consistent throughout that period.
And he carried that into the World Cup as well with the Netherlands.
Yeah. A 30-year-old who was physically outlasting defenders 10 years his junior in the knockout stages of the World Cup in searing heat. I think it was 38 degrees when they played Mexico in the second round. And Arjen Robben...
And it was a penalty.
It was a penalty.
Let's get that out of the way before that comes up. Robben's improvement then. He used to be named the man of glass as a joke. He played for Groningen, he played for PSV, he played for Chelsea. Constant injuries, even actually Real Madrid was hampered. But that's all changed.
Yeah. He's worked with a couple of physiotherapists over the years and improved his basically his game management. And I think if you read the Marty Penyer book again, we keep on mentioning it, but
it's brilliant. Pep Confidential.
Yeah. He discussed how over a period of time he developed a new training regime. So whereas Pep Guardiola doesn't want his players to participate in any unnecessary running, I think he famously said that, what does running do other than hurt your back? Whereas Arjen Robben 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after training sessions, just on his own bat, does extensive warm-ups and warm-downs to prevent injury. And you can see it now. He's only had one major injury, I think, in the last 2 years.
And it's led to a better player as well, more football. And he's obviously more senior as well. He leads in both the Netherlands and Bayern Munich. He's a senior statesman.
His goal record for Bayern Munich is sensational. He's 1 in 2, virtually 1 in 2, over his 5 or 6 years at Bayern Munich. And he's got 8 and 13 this season. So
when Bayern Munich weren't good, Robben carried them.
Yeah.
When they are good, his record's just even better.
Yeah, exactly. And you're seeing a player at the peak of his powers. And the reason we're doing this, the reason we're discussing Arjen Robben,
the reason this even needs to be done, because you wouldn't have to do it for any other player.
Yeah, it's because of the polarising perception people have. A lot of people have this unfair stories surrounding Arjen Robben, and it's just we're here to discuss why we think he's a great player.
Players dive. There's no getting around that. It does not mean they're not good players.
Exactly.
So, we need to get that out of the way. In terms of national team exploits, then, as part of the Netherlands team, he's kind of always been a leader for that team and always performed for them too.
He's got, I think it's 7 goals in major tournaments for Holland. And, I mean, his performances in the World Cup were just sensational. He was in the top 2 or 3 players, undoubtedly. He's also taken that form into the Gus Hiddink, which has been pretty substandard by Netherlands standards.
Pretty appalling.
But he's still been a player who's performed to a high level. He scored 2 goals in their last game, and I think he's a player that appears to revel when the situations get tough. We all remember the World Cup final against Spain where he missed that chance 1-on-1 with Casillas, but he's responded from that, scoring the Champions League final against Dortmund. He scored in the DFB Pokal final against Dortmund last year. He performed at the World Cup after the disappointment of 2010. And
because initially, just to go back to the World Cup, initially when we were covering the World Cup with the podcast, we said that the Netherlands relied heavily on 2 players. One of those players faded really badly in Robben. Yeah. Now, understandably, he didn't have a full season or pre-season with Manchester United. But Robben kept carrying them.
Yeah.
He's vital, and he's become vital. And they go back to the selfish perception, in that he's a leader. Yeah. And he carries teams when they're not playing well, and he provides teams with goals, when they're still playing well.
It's unfair to label him selfish. I think there's an element of selfishness in everybody.
Yeah. So. Plus, I think as well, if he's a young player, being selfish is totally acceptable. That's what happens. People say about Harry Kane now that he needs to learn when to give the ball and not keep shooting. This is what young players do.
Sterling, and Raheem Sterling is a player we rate. So, I mean, you've got to balance that with when a player clearly develops and evolves and becomes more of a team player. You've got to recognise that as well. And Arjen Robben has become more of a team player.
And as a world-class player, he has a penchant for the spectacular. Hark back to his goal against Manchester United. From a corner, first-time volley.
Insane. But there's a highlight reel of those left-footed strikes from distance.
Yeah, and as you say, the constant coming in off the left foot that he does, it just can't be stopped. It's a wonderful way of accelerating at the right moment that just wrong foots full-backs and centre-backs across the world.
But also, he's not completely one-dimensional. If folks remember his goal against Man City at the Etihad last year, where for all intents and purposes it looked like he was going to shoot on his left foot, went onto his right foot and scored.
That's it. People expect him so often to shoot that even the right foot confuses them. In terms of honours and titles, which is how we measure world-class players now, there's how they're popularly measured. He's won a title in every country he's played, and the only team he's played for and failed to win a title with is Groningen, which was, I think he was 17 at the time, or 16 at the time.
No, Groningen should have won.
Not fair, obviously. But a title with PSV, a title with Chelsea, a title with Real Madrid, and titles with Bayern Munich as well. It's incredible, really.
The thing that's amazing is he's played under Mourinho, a manager who, in his first period at Chelsea, anyway, played mostly defensive style football. He then adapted to Van Gaal's Bayern Munich, and now with Pep Guardiola, a manager that everyone assumed he wouldn't work well with.
He'd be on the first play now. Him and Mandzukic, I think, was always popularly thought to be on the way out.
Yeah, well, he's completely dispelled that notion, and he's been absolutely fantastic for Bayern Munich. And I think he's recently, he signed a new contract up to 2017, and you can see him being a pivotal part of Pep's system and team for that length period.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what happened with other great players when they managed their body properly, when they took care of themselves. You've mentioned already the 2 30-minute sessions either side. There is no reason why Robben can't continue. Maybe not as explosive as he gets older, obviously, but you can see his game isn't predicated completely on pace.
A myth seems to be that Francesco Totti was slow throughout his whole career.
Yes.
he was lightning fast in his early days, but he adapted to his body, to the constraints and of a 38-year-old. And there's no reason why Robben can't do that. It just depends on motivation.
I think we both agreed on this last week, is that intelligent players don't need to run. It's the unintelligent, not in a mental capacity way, that need to run, need to work really hard. Intelligent players will just be in the right place.
We're talking in a football sense.
Absolutely. And then on the final point for Robben is just his goal contribution as a right winger. I know we've said it before, he doesn't always play there. He tends to drift central. Notice him in the 2010 World Cup final where he was. But he scores a phenomenal amount of goals for club and country.
Particularly since he joined Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
That record is pretty much 1 and 2, as I said earlier. And I think he's been top scorer twice or 3 times for them. And
as well as the important goals.
Yeah.
The winner against Dortmund.
Yeah, and a lot of players. It was nice to see him. Get over the lows of the World Cup in 2010, and he also missed a penalty against Chelsea in the 2012 World or Champions League final.
In the Allianz Arena as well. He was booed actually the first game back. That's it. The season after that.
It shows you how football fans' perceptions can be changed.
Yeah. Well, scoring enough, they'll love you forever, won't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Arjen Robben will always be a divisive figure. His antics on the pitch have caused that, but it's also his actions on the pitch that merit him as one of the best players in the world. Hopefully that this podcast has put across some of the positive aspects of Arjen Robben as a player and as a person and as a leader as well. Thanks for watching the video. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter at @thefinal_third, Facebook The Final Third, and get in touch with us and let us know what you think of these videos. We hope to upload them fairly regularly. Thanks for watching.